बाद में
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The first verse I want to recite to you is from Surah Al-Baqarah, which is chapter 2, and it's verse 216. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ وَهُوَ كُرْهٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌّ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ وأنتم لا تعلمون. This is in the sense of, in the context of fighting. And the Holy Quran says, fighting is enjoined on you, though it is disliked by you. And it may be that you dislike a thing while it is good for you. And it may be that you love a thing while it is evil for you. And Allah knows while you know not. Second verse, I want to recite to you two verses, no, just one verse of chapter 93, verse 7. وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى, and found you lost, so he showed you the way. And the next is chapter 94, that's okay, I'll leave chapter 94 aside. Sadaqallahul Aliyyul Azim. And I have recited these two verses, taken into account the current situation of Muslims. And the current situation is actually exemplified by this hadith of the Holy Prophet. Amr reported that Hudayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, was asked, which trial is the worst? And Hudayfa said, it is when good and evil are before you and you do not know which of them to follow. These days, Muslims all over the world are facing problems in all countries throughout the world. We have Uyghur Muslims being persecuted in China. And some of you may know that halal meat is going to be banned in France from July. And there are proposals that halal meat should be banned in other countries, such as the Scandinavian countries, Denmark and Finland and Norway and Sweden and so on. But France has actually enacted legislation which comes into force in July. Hijab has been banned. It has been banned in France for some time. Recently, it was banned in Switzerland. And I think, I can't remember the name of one or two other countries where hijab is banned. And Quran translations are banned in Austria. You have to present a translation to the Austrian government and get their permission before they would allow you to actually distribute or give away or sell that translation of the Holy Quran. And most of all, there is, of course, persecution in the United States. Persecution of Muslims in many different ways. But what is the reason for that? And the reason goes back to what I said, that what is the biggest trial, which is the worst trial? The worst trial is when you don't know what to do. Good and evil are in front of you, but you have no idea which is good and which is evil. Now, the situation we face and we have faced for over a century, in fact, several hundred years, I would say perhaps 300 years, and that is that Muslims have lost their way. What did God say to the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You were lost. So Allah guided you. He showed you the right path. You can take this in many ways. One way is that the Holy Prophet was concerned by the condition of his people. But he didn't know what the solution was. Instinctively, he knew that slaves were being persecuted, that poor were being persecuted. But Arabs were lost. They were groping in darkness. And Allah showed them the way through the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the Holy Prophet Muhammad was the last prophet. What is going to happen now? And this was something that his companions radhiyallahu ta'ala anhum asked him, what is going to happen now that you are the last prophet? They pointed to the Israelites. And they said, one prophet would appear, and shortly after that, Israelites would go astray. So another prophet would take his place. But you are the last prophet. What is going to happen to Muslims? And the Holy Prophet then said that Allah, when needed, Allah will send reformers, mujaddids, who will come and make clear the understanding of Islam to the people. And we have this in large tracts of Islamic world. If you go there, their rituals and their practices and so on, they have nothing to do with Islam. Nothing at all to do with Islam. But because they're Muslims, these things, these practices, these rituals, these ceremonies, they're not prepared to change them because they, as far as they're concerned, this is Islam. Their understanding of the Holy Quran and its teachings has become distorted by those rituals that they have. We have this in Pakistan. For example, when someone dies, after 40 days, his relatives and friends and so on, they gather and they recite the Holy Quran, and then there's a lavish meal. And then some religious leader, some Maulana comes, and he goes round and he asks, how many Qurans did you finish? How many Siparas did you finish? How many did you do? How many did you do? And he adds them up, and he says the reward for you reciting all these Qurans, I'm now going to transfer to the deceased. Where is this? Where is this in the Holy Quran or in the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet? I was talking to someone about this, and I said to them, it's very simple. Did the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam after he passed away, were there 40 days celebrated or held after him? Or Hazrat Abu Bakr radhiyallahu ta'ala, or Hazrat Umar, or Hazrat Ali, or Hazrat Usman radhiyallahu ta'ala, and any one of the companions? No. And yet, it's so firmly regarded as a part of Islamic rituals that the life of the relatives of the deceased is made hell if they don't engage in these things. And this is what the Mujaddid does. He comes and he corrects the theoretical understanding, the practical practice of all aspects of Islam. In many ways, the reason for persecution of Muslims is their incorrect understanding and the fact that they are not prepared to accept that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib, the promised Messiah, he came and he showed them what the correct interpretation of Islam was. How the Holy Prophet and his companions lived, and what Muslims need to do to regain the prominence. One thing that is misunderstood is the concept of jihad. It is thought that jihad means that if you have non-Muslims living amongst you in a minority, you pull down their places of worship, their temples and gurdwaras and churches and so on, you pull them down. And we see this happening. ISIS did that in Syria and Iraq. They destroyed all the places of worship of the Yazidi people. Not only that, they actually destroyed archaeological sites in the name of Islam. Taliban did the same thing in Afghanistan. There were temples. They weren't temples. There were statues of Buddha carved into the sides of mountains, just like in Mount Rushmore in United States. You have rocks carved out to resemble some American presidents like George Washington and so on. And Taliban went and blew them up. Why? Islam does not allow idols. What Islam does not allow is the worship of idols. But then the interesting thing is, these people who blow up these statues and so on, they worship other idols. Human beings they worship as idols. You cannot agree with my Maulana, you cannot agree with my Peer, you cannot disagree with my Maulana, you cannot disagree with my Peer, you must agree with them. If that is your view, then it means what you're doing is you're worshipping an idol. You should be following the Holy Quran. I've said this. Many times I've related this incident. That someone came and he talked to me and I showed him from the Holy Quran that the Holy Prophet Jesus has died and he's not sitting up in heavens. And he listened to me for half an hour or 40 minutes. And then he said to me, from what the Holy Quran says, it would seem that Jesus has died. But until my Maulana says that Jesus has died, I will not believe it. So you're worshipping your Maulana. He is above in authority than the Holy Quran. And this applies to thousands of things, not just one. And I keep on mentioning these incidents. Printing press was first presented to the Muslims. And all the Maulanas said, no, 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 no. You can't print Holy Quran on the press. Well, what about other books? You could have printed the other books. But they gave the printing press the name, creation of the devil. And the man put it on, dismantled it. He was a German, put it back on his donkeys and took it back to Germany. And he printed the first Bible on it. And the rest is history. Photography, when it was invented. Sound recording, use of loudspeaker. You name it. These days, there is a great debate going on about whether Muslims should be vaccinated against the coronavirus. And there are non-Muslims involved in that as well. But I'm not concerned with them. I'm concerned with the Muslims. And the sad thing is we fail to take instructions from the Holy Quran, and we fail to take instructions from the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. And this is why all these misconceptions are arising about Islam. There was a gentleman called Professor Leitner. He went to India in perhaps 1870s or 1880s or something. He was an educationist, and he actually built a college in Lahore and so on. And he became interested in other religions, and he realized that there were great misconceptions about Indian religion. So he came back and he set up an institute. And in one of his articles, he says, the article is about jihad. And he says, neither Muslims nor non-Muslims understand the true concept of jihad. And what he has written about jihad, it shows that he, I don't know, like he was translating into English what Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib, Rahmatullah Alayh, had written about jihad. What Muslims need to do is to face the truth, which is that they need to look at themselves and ask this question: what I believe, what I follow, what I preach, is it in line with the Holy Quran and the practice of the Holy Prophet Muhammad or not? You see, we proudly preach that when the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered Makkah, Makkans were afraid because they had been persecuting him. They had been persecuting Muslims. They had killed many in battles and even otherwise in Makkah. So the Holy Prophet asked them, how should I treat you? And they said, you're a decent person, the son of a decent person. And we assure you'll do the right thing. So what did the Holy Prophet do? Did he take any compensation? Did he lash anyone? Did he put people in prison? Did he kill them? No, he said, past is past. It's all forgiven. It's gone. And that was that. The only restriction he put was that people will not be allowed to worship idols in the Kaaba. And all the idols from the Kaaba, because Muslims prayed towards it and went to Hajj, they were removed. Nothing else was done. And we proudly say this, but we don't practice it. There are many other examples of that. We read in Hadith that the Holy Prophet would go home and he'd make dough and he'd cook food and he'd mend his own clothes. But if you go to any Muslim majority country and talk to a man, they will say, this is the woman's job. I am a man. This is not my job. This is not my duty. Good God, that I should wash dishes. I remember one day I was washing dishes in the kitchen, and there was a ring on the bell, and my sister-in-law's husband was there. He came and he closed the kitchen door, and then he went and opened the door to the man who was ringing the bell. And I heard people talking, so I went in. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just doing the washing up and I'll be finished in a few minutes, and please excuse me. And after the man had gone, my sister-in-law's husband said, Shahid Sahib, if you have no concern about your own honor, please think of the honor of the men in the rest of the family. So I said, what did I do? He said, I closed the door so this man doesn't think ill of you that you were washing dishes. And you just came out from the kitchen into the sitting room and you said, oh, I'm just washing dishes, sit down, and when I've finished, I'll come. Washing dishes sometimes somehow makes you of a low status. So what's the point of having all these hadiths that the Holy Prophet used to wash the dishes and mend his own shoes and mend his own clothes and cook his own food? Are these just beautiful stories? If Muslims are going to get out of the problems that they're facing in the world today, they need to return to the teaching of Islam, the original teaching of Islam, which was presented to them 100 years ago by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. He strictly forbade ill treatment of women and children. He encouraged use of new technology. As he said, nothing in itself is bad. If you put it to good use, it's good. If you put it to bad use, then it's bad. So I request all my Muslim brothers and sisters to study with an open mind, to think with an open mind about what they need to do to resolve these issues and things. First, you have to accept that there is a problem. If you don't accept there is a problem, you will never seek its solution. The solution is, God says, and you were lost. And God showed you the way. He showed you the way by divine revelation to the Holy Prophet Muhammad, and he showed you the way by sending you the Mujaddid of the last century, who correctly interpreted the teachings of the Holy Quran and Hadith, etc., to solve your problems. You will have to do it. You will have no choice. There was a time when you said it is heresy to learn English. Do Muslims learn English now? And French and German and other European languages or not? But you have to face up to that because you are falling behind everyone else. And you're falling behind all other religions and all other nations and races now. Why? Because you're refusing to listen to the healer that God sent in the form of the Mujaddid of the century, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib. It makes no difference to us, but it makes a difference to you. And it brings Islam and our Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam into disrepute when you do these un-Islamic things, like killing innocent people, locking women up in their rooms, not allowing them to go out to work or school to get education, and 1,000, perhaps 10,000 other things. So my request to you is to have an open mind and think with an open mind what the solution to those problems is. And that will bring you to the Lahore Ahmadiyya movement. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam, you have no choice. I'm not gloating when I say that. It is with concern for your welfare that I invite you to join the Lahore Ahmadiyya movement so that the problems Muslims are facing world over are solved. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Qur'anil azim wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim innahu ta'ala jawadun karimun malikun barrufur rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma ansur man nasara deen Muhammadin sallallahu alaihi wasallam waj'alna minhum. واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم. عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين ألم نشرح ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا لك الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا لك الله أكبر Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Astaghfirullah. Rabbana. Thank you for joining us for our Friday service. I have a special request to you that I should have made before we started the prayers, but I forgot. And that is that our dear brother Abdul Hamid Gavin Bush in Ireland, his brother has gone missing and the whole family is extremely worried. So I request you all to earnestly pray that the family find him quickly because they are in extreme distress. So please think of them. In every prayer, after every prayer, ask Allah to keep him well and to bring him back home. Our next broadcast, of course, is Sunday morning at 9 a.m. As I said last time, we are rescheduling those broadcasts for 2 p.m. UK time from 9 p.m. because that is more convenient. That's a more convenient time for people across the world. Until we meet again, I pray that Allah keeps all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and